All right, I'm Ty, this is Ben, and we're going to talk today about mobile apps versus mobile web and what's more beneficial to your company.
All right. Before we start, I'm just going to say that throughout the presentation, just feel free to ask any questions that you have. All right, so let's get started. I'm just going to give a brief overview of the different types of apps that a business could use. These are just a few. There's plenty more out there. First, I'm going to start with the shopping one because that's really beneficial for business with sales, obviously, because it enables people to look through your catalog and whatever you're selling anywhere they are, on the bus or whatever. And a good example of theirs is Best Buy. They have one of the best apps I've seen because you can go all throughout everything they sell. You could create a game for yourself. Games are good because they keep people interacting with your brand, and people will be able to, they'll be on their mind, essentially. Whenever they go on their phone, they'll be able to see your game thing with you. Century 21 created like a SimCity-like game where you basically just build up communities, but they did it because they noticed that the #1 home buyers were couples aged 24 to 35, and they're more likely to download a game onto their smartphone than anyone else. And then there's a utility app. Those are just something that people find useful. There are plenty of different ones that you could choose. It's all dependent on the brand. But TD Canada Trust and a lot of banks in general let you check your balance and all sorts of stuff right from your app. That secure, so you won't be giving your information out to anyone. And we have a video up first just to show the difference between a native app, which is like just an app that you download from the App Store, and a mobile website, which is just
In this video, we're going to talk about the difference between a native application and a mobile web application. Oddly enough, these are two very different things. We'll start by talking about native applications. A native app is what you would find in an app store, whether it's the iTunes App Store, the Android Marketplace, or BlackBerry App World. Native apps are extremely robust and powerful, and they allow app owners, you, to have a stronger and more engaging interaction with the app user, the person downloading your app. So now, let's talk about mobile web apps. Mobile web apps are commonly referred to as HTML5 or mobile websites. Mobile web apps are great additions to your mobile presence, but they're not a good end-all solution. If your mobile presence was an ice cream sundae, think of them as the cherry on top rather than the sundae itself. Mobile web apps are essentially web pages, just like you view them on your computer, that are made smaller and less functional so they can be easily used on a mobile phone. So let's recap. Why use native apps? Simply put, they are easier and more engaging for the people who download them, and they're easier to market and find, and they create a longer lasting connection. Mobile web apps are great additions to native apps, but not good standalone solutions. Remember, AppFlight lets you create native applications in minutes, and we also give you a mobile web app for free, just because we love you.
Okay, so she just kind of, to summarize what she said, apps are easier to find, and mobile websites don't really work standing alone. They always want to redirect you somewhere else. Now, before I continue on to this next slide, talking about the advantages, does anyone here use an app specific to a brand or a company? Awesome. Jenny, which one do you use?
I use TD to do my baking online.
Perfect. Anyone else want to share that? Trevor?
I use Fido's My Account app to keep track of my accounts.
Perfect. Yeah, okay, so thank you. Now I'll talk about the advantages a little bit. They're really interactive, and every time someone turns on their phone and clicks onto it, they're going to see your little app there, so they'll always be thinking about you every time they open their phone. They stand out, especially in small businesses. If you have an app, you'll stand separately from all your competitors who may not have reached that step yet or decided they didn't want to. Oh, they spend time, which I spelled wrong, but people spend time with apps. They spend people are more willing to spend time with an application that they spend the time to download than they will on a mobile website. And it can be done from anywhere. Say someone downloads an app all across the world, they can still see your brand. All right, here's a little graph that shows time spent with mobile apps versus mobile web among Android and Apple users from March 2011 to 2012. And the numbers are all in billions of minutes per month. So you can see that over the course of a year, there's still a large gap in between them, but mobile apps went from 43 billion minutes a month to 101 billion minutes a month, while mobile websites kind of stayed down low, and they only went from 16 to 23. Now, every good thing has a dark side, and the disadvantages of the apps are they can be kind of really expensive and costly. You can get a really cheap app for $1,000, but you have to get pictures, graphics, everything you want done for it, and then you'll give it to the developer and they'll just put it all together. Or to maintain, this is kind of really out there and no one would really be spending this much money, but to maintain that app Angry Birds, it costs almost $250,000 a year. If you really want a good app, you'd be looking at around $30,000, which is why it's not really recommended for small businesses. And every app you develop would have to be on a different platform because there's different phones, obviously, so you'd have to have one for Android, Apple, and the BlackBerry app world. The longevity isn't that great. They need updating constantly to stay fresh, or else they won't be seen. They'll just go by the wayside.
All right, so I'm just going to talk about some of the advantages of mobile web compared to apps. So first off, it's compatible. So any device you have, either you have iPhone, you have Android device, BlackBerry, or any tablet you have, it's going to, well, it's responsive design, so it's going to respond to the device you're on, making it compatible. Shareability, so it's a lot easier to share than an app. You can recommend an app to somebody. But when it's a mobile site, you can either text them a link, you can tweet, you can share a link on Facebook. It's a lot easier to share a URL with someone and actually recommend an app that they're going to have to go and download. So upgrading it, compared to an app, when you upgrade it, you're actually pushing it onto the user because they're the one that has to go. They have to download it and waste their time downloading your upgrade. But for a mobile website, you go in, you edit it, you put new content, video, images, whatever you're doing, and then when they go to your mobile site, it's already there. You don't have to worry about waiting for it to download or anything. Findability. So unlike an app, there's apps for specific things. But if you're looking for anything, you can Google it and you're able to find what you're looking for easier if they have a mobile site, and it's more convenient than if they had an app per se. Also, a mobile website can be an app, like Jamie was saying earlier. A lot of mobile sites are actually look like apps themselves instead of having an actual app because it's more convenient, it's going to last longer, and yes. All right, so some of the disadvantages can be inconvenient. We have an example. You see the one app there on the far right, and then they have the mobile version in the middle. If you already have their app, obviously you're just going to go use their app. You're not going to go to their mobile website. So sometimes it's always good to have a mobile website, but it's inconvenient if you already have their app. Also, say their server's down or your internet's just slow, and you have like an app that you don't need to go online for or anything, then you're going to run into some issues with that as well.
All right, so everyone wants to know about their investment and if they'll be able to get a return on it. And this is from an estimate of 234 million people with adults with smartphone users. Now this is from 2011, so the numbers are going to be a little skewed. But a mobile website, the cost, it says $30,000, but I think that's just if you have a website that, let's see the word I'm looking for here, a website that can be pushed onto mobile devices.
An app?
No, a website that can, never mind. All right, so a website that can also be viewed as mobile as well, so their website works on all different platforms. Per dollar, you're going to reach 2,839 people, while it's significantly less with an iPhone, or even less if you go to iPhone, Android, or BB, or BlackBerry, App World. And it says 90 grand, but that's only because you have to pick it for each. Like you have to develop them for each platform. Jimmy, question? All right.
Just doesn't seem a very good return.
Yeah, well, $599 people on the dollar. Can't really go wrong there. And so it comes down to, would your business need a mobile website or an app?
Yes. So it all depends on your type of company. Obviously, I think Ben mentioned earlier, if you're a small business, there's not really a point in having an app because, I mean, you're not going to have that much traffic. But if you have a mobile website, it's just going to be easier. So I took a couple of screenshots here of the RBC app. So that's the app and that's their mobile version, and their mobile site kind of sucks. But in their case, since they're such a large thing, they're going to have an app. But if you're like a small-time company, you're not going to develop such a good app.
But if you were to decide that you would like to develop an app, you want to stay away from trying to go through the whole method of creating a mobile website. You have to figure out what kind you need. And what I kind of came up with, my head was like a hardware store. If they decided they wanted an app, it would set them apart from different hardware stores, like small town hardware stores anyway. And they could develop like maybe a level to turn your iPhone into a level. And then every time, say someone's working on something around the house, they could use a level, or then they realize they need something else from the store. They'll be like, oh, well, I was just using their app. Questions?
Question time. Anybody got anything? Jamie?
That chart that shows how much time